Hi guys, welcome back. Today we are going to learn how to create the GLs. Okay, now creation of GL is our today's topic. Creation of a GL. GL is basically a general ledger. Examples: salary account, rent account, capital account. Sorry for the mistake. Typo. Further, sales or revenue account. These are basic general ledgers or ledgers in our accounting. So we're going to create them today. Just a recap for you. In last video, I discussed about document types, number ranges, and number intervals. So this is the sequence of the video. We are now going to create a GL today. Talking about a GL, it's not just go and create a GL. In fact, there are a few prerequisites you need to meet before creating a GL. Few configurations that are required are chart of accounts. Let me list down for you. Next, account groups. Set up a retained earnings account. That's it. You're ready to create a GL then. So to reach the stage for creation of GL, you need to reach out to chart of accounts, account groups, and retained earnings first. So let's start off with chart of accounts. Guys, again, I repeat, during my sessions in these videos, I constantly talk about interview questions, how an interviewer can ask you a question. So just make a note of that or just highlight them because it's not possible for me to type in everything. So please make a note of them. Now, chart of accounts. Basically, what is a chart of accounts? Chart of accounts, by definition, it is list of GL accounts. Simply said, correct? Yes, that's the basic meaning of chart of accounts. Even when an interviewer asks you what is chart of accounts, you can clearly say it's list of GL accounts. Now, let's dig deep further. I try to give you an example by saying this. Let's bifurcate these words, chart and accounts of accounts. What do you mean by a chart? Chart, according to me, is something like this. This is a chart. If I enter anything, A, B, C, D, E, F, G, H, is basically a chart for me. Chart is nothing but list of content, correct? This is what I said. Chart of accounts is nothing but a list of GL accounts. All right. Now, further, let's create chart of accounts. We shall see what are the configurations or steps inside. Let's go to my SAP screen. Again, since chart of accounts is a configuration part, where would you find it? Let me ask you. Either of the two screens, SAP Easy Access or Display IMG. Guess where? Of course, by now, since we had many sessions and approximately 4 sessions and many configurations, you must have known that the chart of accounts is a configuration part and this would be available in Display IMG. And for Display IMG, let me go to this P code, SPRO. And many may think, how did I just pass this screen without clicking this? I use the shortcut F5. As you can see on the screen, this is a tooltip display SAP reference IMG F5. Just hover your mouse over any of the icons and this tooltip appears. So F5 is the shortcut. I use F5. There you go. Now let's go. And one more thing, by starting this creation of general ledger or chart of accounts, for your information, we are entering into general ledger submodule. Please be careful. I did not mean to threaten you anyways. It was only that we have made a considerable progress, and please make sure that you practice each day at least for 3 to 4 hours. Initially, since we were into fiscal year variant, field status variant, creation of company code, blah blah things, there might not be much scope for you to practice, but trust me, for instance, fiscal year variant and open close posting periods, you can do hundreds of things there. You need not follow only my steps. Just seek out through other options, other fields as well. Just explore the things. You will learn a lot of things. All right. So we have entered our submodule general ledger. Now, where do you think I need to go? Of course, here into general ledger accounting new. So master data. I need to go into master data. Now, let's get back here. I need to tell you something more. There are basically three things: configuration, master data, and transaction data. Okay. Okay. You can write it here. Configuration data as well. So, what is a configuration data? Configuration data is what we have done so far is a configuration data. Setting up a company code for setting up the company code as per business requirement is your configuration data. Then master data, for example, is your general ledger account, your vendor name, customer name. Basically those data which will be helpful in posting the transactions. All right. GL is a master data used in posting the transactions. For example, I create under master data, we create a GL and a vendor. GL, for example, purchases, and vendor, for example, Mr. John is my vendor. What entry can I pass? Purchases account debit to Mr. John for credit purchases. These are master data used in your transaction. Understood? Good. I hope you understood that. Now, transaction data is, of course, you know, the JVs, the accounting entries are the transaction data. Clear? So now, since we are creating a GL, it falls under master data. Let's go inside further. GL accounts, preparations, edit chart of accounts, list. Now, this is the navigation, financial accounting new, general ledger, master data, GL accounts, preparations, and edit chart of accounts list. Now, the T code for the same should be OB13. This way. The T code is OB13. I repeat, only the last 4 digits of this whole string is your T code. So let's get inside. There are many chart of accounts created by many people. Let's create our own. This accepts only 4 digits alphanumeric. Alphabets or numbers, do not enter the symbols. What should be the naming convention? Similar to my company code. My company code is 9001. So similar chart of accounts I can assign. This is no compulsion that 9001 is to be used. You can use any number and assign it to your company code 9001. It's as simple as this. Let me tell you. For example, my company code is and chart of accounts. Okay. If my company code is 9001, chart of accounts need not be 9001. My company code is 9001. It can be anything, any 4 digits. All right. I just typed in randomly. It can be 9000. It can be anything, etc. Any random number or random alphabet. Because in one step, we will be linking this both. Okay. We will be linking both of them. So the naming convention does not really matter. It need not be the same. I hope you understood. I shall not repeat it these many times. Many of you may get offended. Okay, let's go back. I assign 9001 only for my recognition purpose that this is similar to my company code. Next. Many of you may think, why is there a drop down? Drop down shows you the list of existing chart of accounts, though you cannot use it because you're creating a chart of account. For example, 3, 4, 5, 6 is here. You cannot create with the same name. Okay, I could have checked if there is, for example, I choose 9001. I can see yes, 9001 is not taken anywhere, so I can use it. Description: chart of accounts for, oops, sorry, typo, Samsung Electronics Private Limited, blah blah blah, whatever. Since this is the description, does not really matter. Language, of course, English. Length of GL account number. Now, let's come back to this. This accepts maximum 2 digits alphanumeric. So I say 99. No, that's too much. It's this way. Maximum is 10. Okay. 99 is something which system lets you put in. Look, it shows an enter a value. It's up to 10 only. Look, if I put in 11, system says enter valid value. It's actually 10. All right. What is this 10? Let me tell you. We discussed this. I remember we discussed this in open and close posting period variant about the GL. I take the same example. Expense GL account. I say it is 4 lakhs. It's not the amount, it's the code given to the GL account. It's another rent account, though rent also forms part of my expenditure, is 4001. Basically 4 lakh 1. GLs in SAP are recognized by their code, numbers basically. So how many digits do you want it to be? Maximum is 10. Maximum is 10 digits. How much did I use? I use 6 only. Maximum is 10, I use 6. Now, your question. What if we use 10 or what if we use less than 6? Look, if you use less than 6, you may not have much gap among the GLs. You may say, come on, 1 lakh or 10 lakh GLs or 10,000 GLs are more than sufficient in an organization. Fine. But you will not get much space to categorize among the GLs. All right. For example, these are my expenditure accounts. I can say it this way. Later on, for example, capital and prepaid. Let it be outstanding salaries. These being my liabilities, I may wish to segregate it in a different number. For example, I set a rule that all my liabilities should start from 1 lakh and end till 1999. Look, this is the facility I get because expenditure I can choose is 4241, so that upon seeing the GL number, I can say, yes, this is balance sheet, this is expense, This is liability, this is an asset, or this is revenue account. So I categorize it basing upon your code. This is the best practices, one of the best practices followed by almost all the companies, by categorizing your nature of account to the code of GLs. So better use 6 digits, which is neither less nor more. If it's 10 digits, you may have some trouble inputting the number manually. So 6 is the ideal suggested length of the GLs. So here, what does the length suggest? Does it mean that when I said the length 6, system is going to restrict when I create a GL? No, system is not going to restrict. Even after setting the length 6 here, I can create a GL with 7 digits. I hope you got my point. Even if I set 6 digits here, system can let me create 7 digit GL in SAP. Then what does this basically signify? 6 digits is the standard rule applied by system. For example, this is 6 digits. If you try to create a GL, for example, okay, let me modify the same here. If you try to create GL 40,000, the length of the GL is 5 here. I have created this GL, for example, in SAP. But the length you have specified here in the chart of accounts is 6, standard as 6. System can allow you this 5 digits, but system will add a 0 in the beginning. Understand? So it gets 6. This is the reason why it asks for length of GL account number, so that it can harmonize all your GL account numbers to a specific length. Now, sir, what if this is 5 digits? No, what if I add 2 digits here? It becomes 7 digits, that's fine. System won't add 0 in the beginning because it's 7 more than 6. If it goes less than 6, for example, it is 4 digits now. So system would add by default, in fact, it would automatically add 2 digits in the front, making it 6 digits. Understood? The GL number is 4000. It is as per your requirement, but system harmonizes all the GL numbers in a sync, making it 6 digits. Clear? I hope you understood. Let's move on. The controlling integration. This is something which you'll learn later on in controlling. Controlling is another module closely linked with FI. Controlling is basically your costing. All right. So now leave it as it is. We'll discuss what group chart of accounts and other GLs are, other chart of accounts are. Basically, there are 3 types of chart of accounts. Here, since we have seen group chart of accounts here on the screen, let me tell you about it. Chart of accounts are basically 3, 2, and 3. First, operating chart of accounts. Second, group chart of accounts. And third, the country chart of accounts. Operating chart of accounts is the main chart of accounts used in transactions. Group chart of accounts is basically for reporting purposes. Country chart of accounts is also used for reporting purposes. This was the basic information I wanted to provide to you at the moment, because once we complete our operating chart of accounts, because what we are creating now is our operating chart of accounts, the main chart of accounts. Once we are done, these are kind of subsidiary chart of accounts, group and country, which can be dealt as an advanced topics later on once we are through postings. All right. So for your interview preparation, I just gave you a statement which you need to provide to your interviewer. Chart of accounts is a list of GL accounts, which there are three types of chart of accounts: operating, group, and country. Operating chart of accounts is the main chart of accounts used for transactions. Group chart of accounts and country chart of accounts are for reporting purposes only. So hope you understood. So now we are skipping this group chart of accounts and status blocked. Since we are creating a new chart of account, we are not going to block this. Generally, this is blocked when there is a decision made by the business not to use this chart of accounts further, which does not really happen. Right? So let's save this information, the diskette on top. We are done with the configuration of chart of accounts. Now, data was saved. Let's go back. Next, assign company code to chart of accounts. You have created a chart of accounts, but it is still not assigned to a company code. Then that chart of accounts is still in vain. That's of no use now. So let's assign it to chart of accounts. One doubt which many students at this moment would get is that I explain chart of accounts to be list of GL accounts. GL accounts, for example, expenditure, capital, outstanding salaries. We haven't created them yet. Yes, because the GL's creation will be done after my three prerequisites: chart of accounts, account groups, and retained earnings. Okay, have some patience. We'll be there for creating chart of accounts very soon. Let me get through two more prerequisites and we'll create a GL. So now assign company code to chart of accounts. T code OB62. Find my company code 9001. Chart of accounts is 9001 as well, which I just created. And the right side you see CTY. This is basically country chart of accounts, which we haven't discussed in detail. So I leave this field blank. Guys, another information, a quick information that I'm just uh, speeding up this assignment process because this is very simple, where you need to assign your company code and chart of accounts. So you must be knowing this very well by now. I don't want to just slow down at these things and explain the obvious things. Let us spend more time on some things which you do not see on screen. I shall explain them wherever necessary. Next, we are done with chart of accounts. Next, account group. Let's see what an account group is. Does it ring any bells? Any guesses? Account group. Okay. Basically, this is grouping of GL accounts. Simple, right? I just turned this way around. Account group is nothing but grouping of GL accounts. Yes, basically, that's the only definition here. Grouping of GL accounts. That's it. But there is a very, very, very important question out here. Very important question. What does an account group do? By the way, okay, it is it optional or mandatory? These are some things which I need to explain you. So I'm just jotting them down here so that I remember and I tell you what this is basically and why. All right. This is for my information, guys, so that I don't miss them. All right. Don't get mad at me. This is for your benefit. I'm writing. All right. So basically, why do we need grouping? Basically, what is grouping? As I already told you, I have some rent account, salaries account, and so on categorized under expense. Capital, outstanding salaries categorized under liabilities. I can have many categories. For example, cash GLs, or I can say cash and cash equivalents, cash and cash equivalents. Next, current assets. Next, fixed assets. Next, revenue, other revenue, expenditure, other expenses, current liabilities, then long-term liabilities, abilities. Uh, that's okay. You understand that. And miscellaneous. These are basic account groups or grouping of accounts used in organizations. You can ask, why didn't I merge cash inside current assets? Well, I have seen many organizations asking for a separate group for cash and cash equivalents, such as cash accounts, petty cash, banks, bank account years. They use a separate group. For current assets, they use a separate group. Under fixed current assets, you have prepaid expenses, and all fixed assets you have accumulated depreciation, acquisition. Sorry. Here you have an acquisition account, not depreciation. My mistake. Accumulated revenue, you have sales revenue, other revenue from other sources, and all expenditure you have rent, salaries, etc. Current liabilities, you have outstanding salaries. Long-term liabilities, you have long-term loans, accumulated depreciation, and so on. Miscellaneous, it's up to you. These are basically used. There is no hard and fast rule that these should be used. This is just an exposure I'm giving you out of my experience. All right. So these are account groups. Well, as I told you, there's no hard and fast rule to use them. But my question, this is what I ask in interviews, is the grouping mandatory? Do I need to group them? Think. I give you 5 seconds. One may say that grouping is not required. Yeah, I remember many of my students say, so grouping is required for financial statements. For them, let me tell you that this has nothing to do with your financial statements. Financial statements designing is done in another configuration part. This has nothing to do. Any other reasons why grouping is required? Of course, no. But this is mandatory. Grouping is mandatory. Please be careful. In interviews, I generally ask this question many times. And honestly speaking, not many of the students get through. Grouping of GLs is extremely mandatory. You need to group GLs. In fact, you need to create account groups. This is the basic question. Do you need account groups? Yes, you need account groups. Now interviewer asks you why. There are two reasons why the account grouping is mandatory. Reason number one, this provides the number intervals to the GLs. Reason number two, this controls the field status at GL master level. Now, so guys, there are two reasons why this is mandatory. One, these provide numbers to the GLs. As I already told you, remember that GLs are denoted using a numeric code, right? I better not say numeric because there are chances where few businesses go with alphabets. That is only 0.1% of the organizations go with that. So bear in mind. So a GL is represented with a numeric code. So Unless this numeric code is provided to the GL, a GL cannot be created. So to create a GL, you will need to assign it to an account group. In fact, sorry, an account group needs to be created and a number is to be assigned. Then you create a GL inside that account group. You can repeat the video if you don't understand it for once. Now, let's head on to the screen. I'll tell you about the second thing as well, but later on. Let's head to account group. The T code is OBD for the last 4 digits of the string. Execute. Here there are many of them. Let's create our own. New entries. Chart of accounts is 9001, which is standard. Let me copy them. 9001. Make sure you do not press enter. Now, account group. Please hold on. Account group. For example, we have already mentioned a few of them. Cash and cash equivalents, current assets, fixed assets, revenue, other revenue. Let's not start with revenue here. I'll decide what to use here. Expenses. Remaining are just additional. Let me remove them. Now, this is just a description. The final account group is, let's say, 1000, 1100, 1200. Liabilities start with 2, long term 2100, revenue 3000. This is the scheme which I just discussed with you a few minutes ago. Let me create other as well, saying clearing and miscellaneous. Now here, from account and to account is the number interval I was talking about. Okay, 1000, 1 lakh, sorry, 1 lakh to 1 lakh 9999. You can enter as many digits as you wish to. I'm using them. There is no hard and fast rule how many digits to use. I have already told you why I'm using 6 digits, because it's easier to recon. Since you're at a very beginning level now, just enter as I'm using now. Later on, when you feel comfortable, you can change as per your requirements. This is how I basically use the numbers when I'm teaching to my students. So that is very simple to understand. Now, you may ask me, why did I use 1000, 1100, 1200? Why didn't I use, since it's cash and cash equivalents, why didn't I use cash and cash equivalents or CASH? There is a reason which I will discuss once we get to creation of GL accounts. So let it be this way. You can see I have grouped them. Balance sheet assets start with 1. Balance sheet liabilities start with 2. P&L revenue start with 3. And expenses start with 4. Clearing and miscellaneous start with 5. So at a glance of the GL number, you come to know what category or what nature of this GL is. So just save this. Uh-oh. It says to enter. Yes, it's saved. So we're good to go. Next. We are done with account groups. One thing which I left for now was this controls the field status of the uh, uh, field status at the GL master level. I shall let you know this. Okay, basically, when a GL is created, a few fields are said to be mandatory, optional, or displayed. I show you. My chart of accounts 9001. For example, cash and cash equivalent. This is what I just created. Go inside, double click the account group. You'll see few categories of fields here. Let me go to account control. You will see whether the currency is suppressed, required, optional, or display. So these are the field status. When you create a GL, if I suppress this, currency will not be seen anymore. If I set this currency to be required, currency will be set as mandatory. Optional currency you may enter, you may not. System will prompt you the default currency. And display, you cannot enter anything here. You will only be display. You will only see what the field is. You cannot change it. In fact, what is the difference between field status variant and the field status of this GL master? Is this additional field attribute that is display. In field status variant, if you go back to my previous videos, you will find there was no display option. You can find it in the document types. I discussed it in the end of the video about the field status variants. This is the display thing. So once we go to creation of GLs, I can show you what it is. So go back. We are set. Now let's go for defined retained earnings account. The T code is OB53. What is a retained earnings account? Retained earnings account is nothing special in SAP. It's the basic thing which is in basic accounting. Retained earnings account is basically your profit and loss account. So let's get inside. Or if you need something more about retained earnings account, I can tell you about it here. Retained earnings account. It's basically income minus expenditure. What does an expenditure include? Expenditure includes dividends paid out. So revenue of a company after deducting the expenditure of dividends is what is left for the directors or for the company to take it forward to the next thing. So that is a retained earnings account. Retained is something which is left over for the company's use. Let's create one. Retained earnings account is mandatory before you create a GL account. So we go inside P&L statement. It's basically for a company you will have only one P&L statement, but SAP has provided you an option to have multiple P&L statements. We will have P&L, for example, PL account. I cannot create an account at the moment, so try to save this. System will provide you an warning saying enter account, but trust me guys, you can try right away. You cannot create a GL unless you save this entry. So just give this warning by pressing an enter and the config is saved. Since it was warning, you could save this. If it was an error in red, you couldn't have saved it. So now you are all set to create a GL account. GL account creation, basically you will have in two ways. So there are basically three modes of creating a GL. Creation of a GL account. GL can be created in three ways. One, from the display IMG. Next, from SAP Easy Access. And third, of course, from the T code. All right. Let's go. Let me show you the navigation or path for display IMG since we are already here. Here in the same path until GL accounts, you will have GL account creation and processing. Initially, for setting up the chart of accounts and account groups, we entered into preparations. I come out by collapsing preparations. I go inside GL account creation and processing. Create, here we have edit GL accounts individual processing. So edit GL accounts centrally. There are also 3 ways to create a GL: accounts data and company code data, which is an advanced thing which we'll be discussing later on. In fact, that is not really required. We can discuss this when we go for group chart of accounts. It will definitely hit here. So let's create a GL account, edit GL account centrally, and the T code is FS00. This was the path for display IMG. Let me show you the navigation or path again from SAP Easy Access. Here we are in the Easy Access. We go under accounting, financial accounting, general ledger, master records, GL accounts, individual processing, and centrally. Look, the T code for both the navigations are the same, FS00 and FS00 in Easy Access. So you can either type in the T code or go through the path. So we have covered display IMG, SAP Easy Access, and the T code navigations. Here, something is missing for me. Actually, this is the screen where you can create a GL, but I have an habit to use a left pane here, PANE pane, which is an additional window, which I can show you how does that appear. Under settings, hierarchy display. Okay, it wants me to enter a company code first. I can do that. Now I go for settings, hierarchy display. I say yes, display accounts and navigation tree. It says that the new changes will take effect once I restart the transaction. Fine. I can just go back and come in. Look, there's a left window or hierarchy on the left pane. I'm habituated to this, so I just did this. It's up to you how you use. So to create a GL, I would go with this blank paper, create. This is a basic icon used in MS Office, such as your MS Word and MS PowerPoint presentation interfaces. So similar is used here. You don't find new entries here. You only find this icon, blank paper, which is to create. So let's create. So the system is asking you the GL number, not the alphabets. So what GL do you wish to create now? Let's see. Let me head on to account groups. Since we have created OBD4 was the T code for account groups. Position 9001. Let me create a cash account first. So the cash account start from 1 lakh. Now your question, can I skip 1 lakh and enter 1 lakh 1? Yes, of course you can do that, but I'm not doing that. I'm going in a sequence. Just press enter. Look, I did this. Enter the GL account 1 lakh. This is my desired account number once I save. Enter the company code and this tick mark or enter key. There are basically 3 tabs: type description, control data, and create bank interest. There are in fact approximately 7 to 8 tabs, but only these 3 are of major importance. Account group, cash and cash equivalents, correct? Now, here's a catch. There is also another option which you can enable. Just focus on this thing for now. I will make some change and you will notice what the change was. I only see alphabets here: cash and cash equivalents, clearing, miscellaneous, current assets, and so on. Nothing else. Just give me a moment. Remember, I created this 1000 against 1 lakh, 1000 current assets, 1200 fixed assets. Now, once I make the changes, you will see 1000 against cash and cash equivalents, 1100 against current assets here. Let me do that and see how I do this. Under this customizing local layout, options, go to visualization. Here you have 2 checkboxes. Click here and click here. After doing this, you can see the difference. There you go. Understood? Understood the difference? You have these keys over here. Now, I'm just going back. I come inside. Now, let's create a GL. What GL number do you want to use? Now, again 1 lakh? No, I want to create the GL for capitals. What number do I use? No, I don't want to go to account groups and see what GL number did I enter. How am I going to identify what GL? What GL number should I put in? Drop down? No, there are no GLs, so no options available. It is here, my friends, here. Under account group, I can see, because capitals fall under long-term liabilities, I see 2100. 2100 means that the GL number start from 2,10,000 to 2,10,999. Look here, 2100. As soon as you see 2100, it means the GL numbers are 2,10,000 to 2,10,999. This is the reason why I entered 2000, 2000. I mean numbers here instead of alphabets. If it were alphabet here, CASH, you would never know what GL number you are going to pick. So I hope you understood. These are the best practices basically followed in organizations. So account group for caching is cash and cash equivalents. Select. What if I select another account group? System will give me an error. So choose the correct one. Sorry, here. P&L or balance sheet is balance sheet. No wonder if you click P&L and save, system would save. System is completely ignorant what cash is. It's merely a text what you're entering. System will consider this GL as P&L if you save it as P&L. Cash account. Cash account. Trading partner is not required for now. Let's head on to the next tab. Account currency. This is a very important feature of a GL. If where did the system get this account currency from? System got this account currency from the company code. Remember when we set up the company code, we set up currency as INR for 9001 because this is India based company code we created. What does an account currency mean? What if I entered some other currency here? Let me show you. Currency in GL. If the currency is equal to company code currency, then transactions in this GL can be done in any currency, in all the currencies basically. So the second scenario, if currency is not equal to my company code currency, then transactions in this GL can be done only in the specified currency. In our case, the GL is assigned as INR currency, so transactions in all currencies are possible. If I enter AUD, Australian dollar, then only AUD transactions can be done in this GL. I hope you understood. Let's move on. This is an important thing which interviewers ask as well. Next. We would come across all these fields. Well, I'm not touching any of these fields except for few. Line item display. I'll tell you the significance of line item display later. This is used in reports. Unless you take this line item, you cannot go for any reports. Next, create bank interest. The only field we are going to touch is field status groups. So by default, In fact, always choose G001. As I told you in field status variant topic, we can go in depth of field status only once you are through postings or expert in postings. The other tabs are of no significance at the moment. There are basically 6. So only the first 3 are important. We entered balance sheet, name, short text and long text are something which are used in different contexts. You can enter same or different, doesn't matter. Control data, we choose only line item display. Other fields will be on their way as we progress through our curriculum. Field status group, you choose G001. Other fields will be taken up in the future topics. So we save this GL here. That's just a warning, that's okay. So your GL is created. Look, this is what an account group is. Cash and cash equivalent is an account group. This is a GL, this kind of a folder and a file, because the GL exists in this group. So we have created a balance sheet GL. Let's create a P&L GL now. P&L GL's expenditure, for example. Expenditure start with, it's 4,000. So the expenditure starts with 4 lakhs. If you still did not understand what I meant by now 4 lakhs, you can just repeat the video, you will understand. So it's 4 lakhs, enter the GL, account group, 4 lakh expenses, P&L stationery here. And for example, salary account or rent expense account. Similarly, control data, line item display, and create bank interest, you would choose G001. What was the difference between cash account, balance sheet, and this P&L account expenses? Nothing. It's just a different account group, P&L or balance sheet nature, and the name. That's it. Control data is similar, same. In fact, we chose line item display and G001. So just save this. There you are. You have created 2 GLs successfully, cash and rent, so that in our next video, we can directly post a few transactions using these 2 GLs. Not only these GLs, you can try creating some more GLs of different nature. It's up to you. Creating more master data is of no use unless you put it into transactions. All right. So we end our discussion here for today for these topics, creation of GLs. Next topic would be posting of transactions and setting the tolerances. Thanks for now. Practice well. All the best. See you.